I was born and brought up in India for most of my life before I moved to the UK 7 years back. Um, I was born in the south of India, near a city called Chennai, which is the capital of Tamil Nadu, the state in the south of India where I come from. Um, so India has 28 states, and I was brought up in a number of different cities all across India. And these were Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and then New Delhi, which are also some of the biggest cities in India. And they're all capitals of the state, of each of the states that are in India. Um, they're also some of the most important cities because they have significant historical value. And they also um, are big metropolitan cities where most of the population in India lives. Um, so along with these cities, which are Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Delhi, Kolkata is also an important city in India, and they're also very, very large, like I said before. So India is a subcontinent, which basically means that it's not a continent by itself, but it is big enough to be called a subcontinent because it forms a major part of the South Asian continent. Um, so you can think of it like Europe, where each state in India is almost like a country in Europe, but instead of being a country, they're all united by this one big country called India. So India has about 1.3 billion people, and it is the second most populous country in the world, which is a lot of a lot of people. So as a result of this, we speak many languages in India, where each state almost has its own language. But this is not the case, however, because there are lots of small local languages that develop as a result of it. Um, so the most common language and the national language of India is Hindi, which is spoken across India and spoken everywhere in the north, but it's quite limited in the south. Um, and the major languages apart from Hindi are Tamil, Malayalam, Gujarati, and Bengali, along with Marathi as well. And these are all spoken in different parts of India in the north, south, east, and the west. Um, Obviously now, since India is huge and we have a lot of states and a lot of different people from different cultures, we also have a lot of religions, and they all live together in India. And the major religions that we have are Hinduism, which is I think the predominant religion in India, followed by Islam. Then we have Sikhism, Jainism, and Buddhism. So yeah, all of these people of different faiths all live together in India. Um, Coming to culture in India, India is very diverse, obviously, like I said before. Moving just from one state to the other is like moving to a whole different place because they speak completely different language. They eat different food, wear different things, and they're also like their personality changes quite a lot as well. Um, so in general, it's quite easy to divide India into like the north, south, east, and the west, because that more or less um, pulls together what the different people do and they don't. So in terms of food in India, we eat a lot of rice and bread. So you might know some of the bread, which is like roti and naan, which is eaten quite a lot in the north of India. Um, we're very well known for using a lot of spices in all of our dishes, like coriander, turmeric, chili, um, and things like that, which give the iconic sort of Indian flavor to dishes. We also eat a lot of meat, and the most eaten meat I would say is chicken, and then we have sort of lamb and fish, but beef is not consumed in most of India because it's considered sacred in Hinduism, and Hinduism being the dominant sort of religion across India, beef is not eaten in most parts. Um, so vegetables again are also like quite important in India. We eat it as part of every meal. and we make it in a number of different ways. Again, India is also like very well known for its street food. You can find it literally everywhere you walk on the streets, and they're very cheap but very, very delicious. So like they're amazing. We have a lot of sweets as well, which are very sugary, and they also have a lot of like nice spices like cinnamon, and then we have lots of nuts in them like pistachio, almonds, and stuff like that. So yeah, we have a lot of food, and it's a very, very big part of sort of Indian culture, and just brings together people. Um, in terms of history, India is, I would say, probably one of the most invaded countries, because we've been invaded by everyone from the Turks to the Mongols. We've also had people all the way from sort of Persia come and invade India, and most recently, obviously, the British, which is one of the most important periods of Indian history. Um, so because of all of these invasions, I think that's kind of what lent India its diversity. Because all of these people who came in and invaded can settle down and build large empires and kingdoms. They brought a lot of their culture here and all of their architecture as well. So we have a lot of sort of influences from these places. And we also have influences from Portugal and France as well, because they set up small outposts sort of in the west and the south of India. And as a result, the cuisine in those regions sort of evolved around that, and the culture is there as well, sort of evolved around this. So some of the most notable structures and like historical monuments in India, like the Taj Mahal, was brought here by the Mughals and is one of the seven wonders of the world and is probably the most recognized structure in India. The British also had a big role to play in the architecture. We have a lot of buildings, especially in Delhi, like the Parliament House and the place where the president lives has all been sort of built by British architects, and they have a lot of influence of the architecture in India in general. So as a result of this, like we've also had a lot of traditional outfits because of all of these influences. So in the north of India, we traditionally wear, like the men wear a piece of clothing called the kurta, and the women as well, except the length varies. For men, it's way shorter, with the women wear like much longer kurtas. And the bottom is called a kameez, which is again like a very like floaty and airy sort of bottom bit, which is designed for Indian summers, so it can be very light and you don't feel suffocated or sweaty in them. And in the south of India, there's a lot of saris, which are long pieces of cloth that have just been cut, and then you sort of drape it around the body in a specific in a way. Um, these can also be like very sort of decadent or very simple, depending on how you intend to use it and what occasion you're wearing it to. And now saris and kurtas are also worn all across India. They're not just limited to the south and the north. So I'd say like there's a lot of intermingling, but predominantly I would say this is how the outfits are worn. The men in the south of India and again like everywhere in India wear something called a dhoti, which is again something that's draped around the bottom to resemble like a trouser or a pant. Sorry, yeah, not a pant, I guess, but a trouser. Again, designed a lot in line with the weather conditions that we have there. Um, so again, like in modern cities in India, we wear a lot of Western clothing. So it's everywhere. So jeans and t-shirts and shorts, all these things, they're worn everywhere and it's very common nowadays. Um, so thing I love the most about India, I'd say, is the culture, obviously, and the diversity that we have, and the food. I cannot take the food aspect away because I love Indian food, especially South Indian food. I grew up on it, and it's very close to my heart. And with regards to the culture, it's amazing that you can just drive or take a train or a plane, move to go to a different state, and then it's a completely different sort of culture, different people, different food. So yeah, it's just that flexibility, and you can just go there. But the fact that you're all sort of united under one country is quite amazing. Um, And a well-known place that I would recommend that well, not so well-known place, sorry, I would recommend is a small hill station in the south of India. It's where I grew up because I went to school there. It's a short drive from a small city called Salem. Again, it's very close to Chennai. Um, it's not very high up in the mountains because they're mostly hills, but the weather there is amazing all year around. It's usually around sort of like 18 to 25 degrees even during the summer, so it's very ideal. The hill station itself is very idyllic. There's a lake in between the city, and there are lots of sort of like resorts and all these places surrounding it. Lots of hikes and trails. And general, it's just a very small, beautiful place, and there's not a lot of tourists most of the time, so you can have a really good time and just relax for a weekend or something like that. So that's it. That's the small, very, very small, scratching the surface tour of India. Again, India is huge, it's diverse, and it's impossible to cover everything that we have in a 5-minute video. But hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. So thanks.